Okay, so Josie, you really gotta find a different place to be, pal. Come on, out, 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 out. Thank you. Go. Welcome. Sorry, the welcome is obviously not, not for you, but welcome online. We're here in unusual circumstances. I'm going to apologize off the top for canine invaders into my yoga space, and to the extent that we're connecting online into your yoga space. Little teensy teensy setup for today's practice. So I mentioned in the mailer I sent earlier today that I've been, it's been a fun little way of exploring the practice for me, is to actually link the more movement-based practice to, whether that's asana or whatever it is today. You notice I'm hedging my bets. I've got something a little bit different in mind, to the meditative practice. So last week we were practicing, we were working with equanimity, which I just, adore, actually. And further, actually, here's the interesting thing, before Deb, the point that I had just been making about, before I press record, about having an appreciation for the things that are challenging. Like I was saying last week that, with the passage of time and practice, I've become pretty aware of the extent to which my own, for a person who really hasn't, like when people would say, watch for self-judgment, I'd be like, self-judgment? No problem. I've got no self-judgment going on. I get tons of external judgment about the state of the world and so on, and various actors within it. But no, I enjoy my life. I appreciate myself. I'm not, hopefully not going over into egotism or, pride or whatever, but I don't feel like I, beat up on myself. And yet, the tendency to really see equanimity as an identity, like that there are certain people who are equanimous, who are just chilled out dudes or dudettes, or however they identify, and that I was not one of them, and that the practice, capital P practice, whether that's yoga or meditation, all of it as a whole, was both a way of moving myself perhaps further along the spectrum, which right off the bat, that sort of an objective goal focused practice, I think, is counterproductive. At least, again, not in my experience, it's not worked all that well. But also just the error there, the category error of seeing any of these things, any state of being, as being anything more than, kind of an action verb. Like it's a state of being, it's a flow, it's a practice, it's not an identity. In any case, I thought what we would do today is to link that idea of being okay with what's happening, exploring when things begin, how they're going, when they end. That's one aspect of it. Or how we react or respond to our experience, whether it's going, swimmingly, or, a total train wreck, dumpster fire disaster, or somewhere in between. Again, all of those just being kind of judgments that we apply to a situation as opposed to any sort of objective reality. And at the end of the day, like, really, the reason I say that I really appreciate, I think I lost my original point in there. We were talking about what you learn from, say, whether it's a yoga pose that you find challenging, and, you try and you try and you try and you try and you try, and just through the process of continuing to practice, that you learn to appreciate, and you ultimately have a sense of depth and nuance that you wouldn't have for the things that come easily. That's not just for yoga. That's kind of across the board, I think. And so I really appreciate equanimity practice, or what I like. I've used that word plenty. I actually just like the word okayness. That's it. I don't know if I picked that up somewhere else or I came up with it on my own. I'm good either way, but practicing with okayness. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. And what I'm thinking is there will be poses, okay? Despite the fact that we're talking, or I was just mentioning about, you know, our experience of anything, any moment in time, our entire lives is really, it's not a stable thing. It's constantly being created, and it's constantly shifting and changing and dissolving over time, right? Like, even if we went and said, okay, the present is now, by the time, my finger came down on the mat there, that moment was gone, and another one had come in. We can never truly, it's like, trying to pin down a piece of mercury. It's always going to kind of squirt away on us. So what I thought we would do is not flow so much. So there's the irony, despite the fact that, we could talk about our experiences being, a flow, that we hold some poses, some static poses, that we mobilize more than actually, mobilize our bodies. So an opportunity to just kind of open things up, create some space in some areas and to areas of our body, and to do this in a way where we really, really stay with one of two things or both, okay? So I'm just going to throw this out to you at the outset, and then I'll occasionally from time to time, I'll give you a little, just kind of tap, a little poke, say, hey, how about this, how about this? So the one thing is staying with the breath and the actual quality of your breath as you practice, okay? Noticing if it becomes short and labored, or whether it's just long and okay, that okayness. And or the quality of your mind, whether that's your feeling about what's going on, whether it's the actual kind of moment by moment bursts of emotion that can pop in there, although they won't necessarily, and they certainly needn't do, or thoughts, okay? Your overall kind of like mental grasp as opposed to grip on what's going on. All right. How's that sound? That all good? All right. Let's go. Okay. So to start, what I'm actually going to suggest is let's start with breath. Okay. And just allowing the breath to be what it is. So I'm just going to ask a series of questions, and you'll notice that they are not directions. So you can organize your body however feels right. I actually don't have a block under my sitting bones today, so rather than get into a kind of a slump pattern, I'm going to give myself a little assist so that this is actually a bit more relaxing, and post up right behind me here. Now, if you're sitting on a couch or in a chair, you could lean back a little bit, or you could, prop yourself up as well. And this is kind of nice too, because we're opening up the front of our body. So much of our lives is, in this sort of a shape. So instead, really rolling the shoulders open, turning the thumbs out, placing the hands back, and then growing the spine up through the crown of the head toward the ceiling, allowing on the exhale, the sitting bones in particular, but any part of your body that's connecting with the ground or with your seat, to descend. So beyond however you've organized your body, here are the questions for your breath as you tune into your breath. First question, are you breathing through your nose, or are you breathing through your mouth? Did my asking that question provoke a sense that I may be doing it wrong, or that's not the ideal way? And I ask that because yours truly has very definite opinions about this. But see, the laugh is exactly the approach we want. Okay, being okay with, kind of knowing ourselves. Again, with any of these questions, if you're wondering after the fact, not so much what I think, but what might be indicated as a preferred way of breathing or being, you can ask, or you can shout out as we practice, certainly. Sorry, what was that? Nose. Okay, very good. Well, that also gratifies me in the sense that I think, mouths are for eating, noses are for breathing, unless they're blocked. Don't try eating through your nose and breathe through your mouth only if necessary. All right, but again, being okay with where it is, what it is. And then if you were going to describe, not as a judgment, but just as a series of sensations, like as a flow of energy in your body, is your breath narrow or is it wide? And really getting curious, like noticing that you might not be noticing. Is your breath high up in your chest, or is it tending to drop down low into your belly? Is your breath short, compact, or is it long, expansive? Or is it none of these things? None of these descriptions might adequately sum up. But just like we're here for a moment and almost like we're becoming anthropologists of our own experience. Imagine that your consciousness, if this isn't too far out for a Monday afternoon, if it appeared in this place, like in your body or around it or wherever you're experiencing it, for the first time, like an alien descending from another planet. Unlike the dogs, the alien probably would not have an opinion. It would just be gathering information. It wouldn't be caught up in whether this is right or this is wrong. It would just be, oh, this is okay. Or this isn't okay. All right. And then from here, let's take our hands forward. Okay, hands can come together, interlace our fingers, and turn the hands out. Okay. Exhale, sweep the arms back, and reach behind you. You can even place the hands back down and stretch the chest out by taking the sternum up and forward. Little tuck to the chin. And then reverse the pattern. Come on back. You can even turn your hands away from one another. See, normally we come in and then this. Can you actually interlace in that backwards pattern? And really press your shoulder blades out and away from one another. So we're opening up through our back here. And then disengage. Sweep wide. Whether you make contact behind or not. Again, floating is totally fine too. Opening. And then returning. Okay. Feet can come together. By the way, we're not going to stand today for what it's worth. Not that there would be anything preventing that. So if you feel like anything that we're doing, okay, can be, you can kind of flip the shape and, what is lying is just standing, in a supine position. So, but for the purposes of our practice, we're going to stay low to the ground, okay? And just notice, even with those first few moments, okay, what has happened with your breath? Has it changed from a few moments before? press your big toe bases in while you're noticing that. So toe base meets toe base, heel meets heel. That's if this is accessible. Drop the knees out to the sides without forcing. And notice what you feel. Notice where you feel. Okay. So from here, what I'm going to actually ask, now you can absolutely post your hands back to give yourself a little bit of room to do this. Take your left foot, take it back. So you're going to come up off of your left hip, turn your knee down, and then I'm going to just move back a little bit so you can see this. Bring the knee in toward the right foot. So we've just lost half of our butterfly pose, and we're in this little sideways sit. Okay. Good. And then from here, hands might come forward. And then take your left hand over to meet the right. And then begin to bring your hands to the side, to the side. So now we're framing our knee on the right. Still breathing. Maybe crossing the knee, stopping at any point, stopping when we've moved into discomfort, stopping when the cockapoo interrupts your practice. Okay, maybe beginning to turn behind. And as you turn, using the leverage here, the stopper of your foot and your knee against one another, for a little stretch through the groin on the left side. And then simply return. Come on back, slowly, slowly. And a little counter stretch, and definitely our range of motion is going to be fairly reduced here. Okay, but not collapsing, really still up. Proud, okay? Then, again, you can post, but I'm going to show you without the post. The other thing you may want to play with here is balancing, lift, turn, place, and we're back. So I'm going to show that in reverse. So right leg, everything about this setup stays exactly as it is. Breath does what it's going to do. How's your mind? How's your experience of this? Lift the left foot, turn, raise, place. And then even from here, now again, if we've got any knee issues going on, we're stopping here. But from here, we could use our hands and support ourselves to come up. Or we could do that hands free. Okay? Again, just we have to play with capacity, balance, and really here I'm throwing in intentionally some moves that may be a little bit more challenging and come on down. Okay? So either way. And look, your up might be that. Okay? Notice your reaction as we spin the leg back. I'll post this time. Or not even necessarily, like reaction implies that there's this experience is happening to me as opposed to I am this experience. Like this is happening right now. And just notice that. Okay? What's it like? Opposite leg. So let's take one breath here in the center just to refocus, recenter. Exhale. And then shift into your left hip. With post or without, lift the right leg, the right foot, turn, place the knee down. And we're in this again, little sideways sit. And then from here, hands come forward. Move the right to meet the left. Take both hands to frame the left knee. So already, like notice where the sensation happens and when the sensation happens. So here, for me, for this body today, nada. Nope. aha, just on that little turn, for the first time, that's where it lands for me that I'm like, okay, now we've got some tension and a little bit of a release happening there. And then, however much is comfortable, continue to turn. Use the force of the left foot against the right knee. Keep your spine long by taking the crown of your head up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. And then bring your hands back. 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 Hands can come down onto your legs. Little counter stretch. Okay, and then from here, we're going to lift the right leg up, turn it, place it, and we're back to our butterfly. Let's go however you choose to practice it. Inhale, lift, raise, turn, and lift, raise, turn. Take note of the choice that you're making or not making. Is your body on autopilot? Okay, so I've said this legit to post and give yourself a bit of support. So is the other way. What's happening now? Again, with here, maybe shifting your weight and coming forward. Okay, and really popping the fronts of your hips forward, and then coming down. Or hands to support, and up, and down, and down, and down. Last one here. We'll lift, we'll raise, we'll bring the legs together, back into our butterfly. And this time, let's actually just lift our heels off of the ground. So rather than being down here, we're and really lengthening out through the inner ankles. Okay, you can even take your hands, if that's accessible, and just kind of cup the heels. And I'm taking my lower arms and making contact with my inner thighs, just giving them a little stretch, a little support, pressing out. Okay, I'm trying to wishbone myself, just a little help. Okay, and then both knees come up, feet come onto the floor. And hug. Hug everything in. How's your breath now? You may experience constriction, particularly if your bellies come up against your legs, like you can maybe hear it in my voice. To stay with nasal breathing and to really breathe in my belly feels challenging. Can you be okay with it? And then we're going to let's leave the right leg where it is, take the left leg long, okay? So foot comes forward and hug the right leg in, okay? And we're here. And then allow the right leg to come down. Sole of the right foot comes to the inner thigh, okay? And stretch up. And again, we can post here, okay? Then, and this is not going to be a big move, can you bring the toes of your left foot however close to your forehead as possible? Notice I did not say move anything about moving your head towards your foot. Try to really, it's like, this is not, so we can plantar flex, like really point our toe forward. It's this, like really opening up the back of the lower leg here. And then, let's place both hands onto the top of our thigh, left thigh. Place them down by the knee. Every placement is an opportunity to inhale and exhale. You can stop when it feels right to stop. Place them on the lower leg. Now you notice that my own arms have gone from bent to slightly bent to straight. Inhale and bring your toes back again. Inhale and bring your head up toward the ceiling. And then exhale to hold this entire position and relax. feels right, you might at this point sneak forward. But really, we're not worried about bringing the head to the toes. We're not worried about bringing the shoulders down to the mat. We're all about bringing a deep, deep flex into the front of our left thigh and to open up the back of the leg. Okay? This pose and some of the sister poses of it, where we've got legs extended on the mat and a kind of ego-driven desire to put our forehead down on our toes or bring our whole body down onto the mat, as I imagine has resulted in more injuries than certainly are necessary or that need to be counted. So let's not add to that. Spread the toes as you inhale. Exhale, release them. Let them just relax. So we're practicing hatha style here, what often is pronounced hatha, but hatha. We're taking time and breathing in the poses, not rushing around. This is not a vinyasa flow class, but spoiler alert, okay? Instead, we're just staying with these poses and noticing how things are. Can I be okay with what this is? And notice these subtle changes. Again, you can see here I've brought the fingers up. This is the result of a fair bit of practice. So again, we're not in a rush, and we certainly don't want to crank our back to accomplish coming forward. Again, it's all about here. If anything, taking your upper back away will deepen the stretch. And let's release. We're going to come back just for a moment to give this right leg a little break, but let's keep the left leg exactly as it is, okay? Again, opportunity for balance. I said today that there'd be opportunity for you to play and like kind of test your edges, just as a way of like, again, exploring that feeling of okayness. When do the shifts happen? Okay, so we can be posted as we lift the right leg, or we can be hands-free. Take it up, take it out, turn, and place, so that we're in a sort of a V pattern here. Okay. There. Now I'm going to actually just shift back a little bit. There we go. Okay. And what we absolutely, the enemy of happiness in this pose is shifting our pelvis back, like dumping backwards. So what that would look like would be this, where your pelvis actually kind of rolls back and you kind of get long behind your hips. Instead, if that happens, really press up into your hands. So you can see I've come to fingertips. And again, that is kind of a nicer place to be, unless it isn't. Okay, so just notice that. And then, if you can maintain I was going to say maintain your alignment, but also maintain your composure, allow both hands to come onto your thighs. Allow them to slide down your knees. Keep the length in your spine. Don't sacrifice this to bring your hands further forward. And as they slide forward, begin to bend at the front of both hips this time. Not about pancaking your body down. Not about reaching for the toes if that's not accessible. Okay, I often find, even though I've got an end range, breathing into the pose with some integrity, okay, noticing the tendency to want to roll the feet out, hug them in, bring a slight internal rotation into your hips, and breathe. And how is that breath? Is it long? Is it short? Is it deep or shallow? Do you feel particularly attached to it being a particular way? Does it make it feel like the yoga is right or not? Okay, let's reverse all of this. See if we can remember how to come out of this. Again, option to post, option to balance. Leg lifts, leg bends, it curls, it tucks, and here we are. Okay, now we're gonna change our perspective, okay? So let's take our upper body and turn, okay, and not turn low. Really proud, turn to the side, frame like this, okay? Frame your right knee, so you're really turned away from that front foot, the one extended out in front. And then from here, you can leave the left hand where it is, inhale, and raise the right hand up, palm to the side wall, okay? And then exhale. Hold this position for a moment. Bring the toes of the forward foot closer to it, like I'm saying, come near your toes, okay? Notice the tendency again to roll out, hug in. And then on the next exhale, drop your left hand anywhere onto the left leg, okay, where it feels comfortable, where it feels accessible. Then from here, can you exhale on your next exhale, come over, reach with the right fingers forward toward the left leg. Where do you feel this? What do you feel? And how is that shaping your experience? Okay, now there's this neat little reverse little counter stretch. So inhale to come up, exhale, take the arm back, and this is a key bit because we want to keep our shoulder in a healthy position. Spin the arm so that your thumb is facing back, okay, back behind you. Place your hand down, and then using your right leg for support and your left heel for support, come up, extend, and maybe as you inhale, the left arm comes up. Press the left hip up toward where the wall and ceiling meet in front of your mat. And as we sweep everything down, exhale. How are we doing? Yeah? Okay, cool. Again, option to post, option not to post, lift. Place the right leg before the left. And this, just because it's equal parts, looks silly and feels fun, we're going to do some butt shuffling if it feels good. So if this is in any way like you're not feeling it in your body, then you can just stay here in staff pose, and that's totally great. So what's the bum shuffle? It's this, okay? And again, you could do it, I suppose, with hands for a bit of support or not, but it's just, and I'm coming forward. See, this is where I'm happy that my partner's not on the mat with me, because this is where she begins rolling her eyes, and then reverse course. How are you organizing your body to accomplish this weirdness? All right, and when you come back, maybe just adjust the flesh of your bum out of the way. Okay, like that, or like that. In fact, let's play with that for a moment. Both feet extended, okay? You can absolutely, if it's more comfortable, come into this shape, okay, with feet flat and knees bent. But otherwise, we're here, hands come down, spin the thumbs out to open up the shoulders, and then just lifting your bum as much as feels comfortable. That might be 0, that might be way up. Just a little lift. What happened to your breath? Aha! So can you breathe through this bit of effort? Can you not generate the okayness, but can you be genuinely okay? And when you're ready, you can be? Oh, good. Okay, now if your wrists don't want to comply, then just they're not having it, then come on down. And in fact, just in between sides, let's come forward. We'll sweep our legs and come forward and bring our wrists onto the mat. In a more organized way, we'd start with the wrist warm up before lifting, so my bad there. I've got my toes tucked behind me for a little bit of extra support, but you can also bring your feet flat, okay, like that. I know you won't be able to see that, but in order to accomplish that move, my feet had to come down. And then really here, what we're doing, you can also cross one ankle over the other. Bring your weight forward. Not like you're pancaking your hands here. Spread your fingers wide. Cup them slightly on the mat. Feel the bases of your thumb, your index finger, your pinky, really making contact. And only leaning forward so much as is comfortable. Okay, turn the fingers out. And it's just a shift from one side on the inhale. Exhale. Shifting our perception, shifting our experience. Just some gentle rocking. Then we'll place one set of fingers in, shift our weight, place the others in to meet it, and continue that gentle rock. Keeping again, what we don't want to do, especially on the arch, the carpal arch, so at the back, the base of the palm, we'd want to be able to slide something very small in there, so we're not jamming our wrists. We're mobilizing them. Final action, turn the whole kit and caboodle over so that fingers go towards your knees. And then this time you control the level of intensity in terms of how far back you lean your hips to open up this line in the inner arm. And then let's peel the hands up slowly. This can be intense, so back off if it's too much. And come up. And then just give the hands a shake. And I didn't even say it, but I've just started doing it. And this is for me, this one gets interesting really quickly. So let's try this. Just opening and closing our hands to maximum extent and rapidly. Okay, kind of not even one a breath. It's like every second or half second, opening, closing, opening, closing. How's your breath? Are you okay in your experience? Stopping, of course, like we're not doing violence to our bodies, so if it becomes intolerable, notice that. How does that present itself? And stop when it feels right. And we'll let that go. Okay. However you're sitting, and in fact, I'm just aware that I'm sitting in hero pose there for quite some time, so I'm just going to come back. I know that we've got another hip, another side to do. We'll get there. But let's play with, I'm not intentionally throwing things that are meant to be frustrating, except I am a little bit, okay, because it's interesting. It's just about kind of messing with it, finding our patterns, and then seeing what is and isn't landing or isn't working. So let's bring both hands together, interlace the fingers, all right? Okay, so this is another kind of we're gonna get some wrist action here. Think about like an hourglass shape. So you're ducking and coming up and around. I'm gonna go real slow, down, up, through the center, down, up the side, down. So it's that. Now, I didn't say anything about what direction to start in, or like infinity, if that makes more sense. Our bodies are gonna default to what feels right. Now, slow it down And when you get to the top of the next cycle, reverse it to not right, to not natural. And then as much or as soon as you're able, begin to add velocity. And notice your reaction to this, hopefully not uncomfortable, but maybe unusual pattern of moving your arms. Slow down. How's your breath? What's your experience? And let it go. Last one. How's that? How was that? The universal Okay, cool. I'm gonna what's that? I need to what, or you need to what? Yeah. All right. Hands forward. Last little wrist mobilization, and then we'll move to the other side. Thumbs come together, okay? Or you can have them just slightly apart. Then, as you inhale, take your tips of your pinky fingers as far away from each other as you can. Thumbs come forward. So likely feeling a stretch through the inner line here, kind of on a diagonal through the forearm. And then, I suspect you know where we're going. Thumbs come in, pinkies come forward. Try not to bend the elbows to accomplish this. This is all about the wrists. Reverse. Switch. And then one hand up, the other down. Up, down. Oh, I think I said that was the last one. Can you be okay with the change of pace? Okay, and truly the last one. All right, there we go. Now, from here, let's come back into our butterfly. How are your hips feeling compared to whatever we're at half an hour ago or so? Right? Do things feel a bit more open? Does this land a little bit differently? Yeah, okay, so there we go. Now, again, you probably know what I'm going to say. We can post. We cannot post, or you can, again, optional, it's all just about playing and exploring. What happens if you take your arms up? Okay, and then lift the right leg, extend it out. Okay, hug the left foot in, and you may want to adjust this. In, yeah. Arms can come down. Hands can land wherever they do. Inhale to bring the head up. Keep front ribs quiet. Square the shoulders. And then just say, come here, toes. Bringing them back. Noticing where you have to recruit from to accomplish this. Interestingly, right up near the crease of my front hip is the first place I felt it. Okay, maybe flex them forward just to release, and then come back up. Okay. Now from here, we're going to come into spinning our legs. Actually, we're not going to spin our legs out. See, I lost track of things. All right. Is it recrimination, or is it just a catch and go, oh, wait, it's going to be okay? I think it's going to be okay. Hands can come onto the top of the right thigh. Really inhale each one. We're bringing our shoulders back, our collarbones wide, our head up, our chin in. Contain. Slide the hands forward to the knee. Slide them as far forward as feels comfortable. And then if you're going to continue sliding, bring the toes back. Come your toes. Flex at the hip, not at the upper back. Okay? Not with the neck. We can get there, and certainly once you get to what feels like full range, you may notice, okay? If you're doing that and kind of and holding on for dear life, like you're really exerting, I'm not telling you to stop. I'm asking you to ask why. What's going on? Okay. Notice the tendency to want to compensate in the opposite leg to lift it up to accomplish this. Can you drop it down? Can you keep the weight between both sitting bones roughly even? Maybe one hand makes its way up again, or wherever, feels right. Maybe the other. Not sacrificing through our back to do that. Okay, release if you're holding. Slide back. Okay. And then from here, let's take our left hand, bring it in behind, take the thumb and like you're hitching a ride, take it back and toward the back wall. So you've opened up your back shoulder here, you're in a nice position. We're going to use our left leg, especially the lower leg, and we're going to use our right heel. And inhale, you can rise up, really pointing back with the right arm and taking that right hip up and out. And exhale, slowly return. There we go. And now we're going to, with post, without, or maybe with arms out. In fact, I'm going to come into, rather than up, I'm going to come out into a V, and I'm going to aim to get my legs to match. Ha! All right. How's your breath? Are you okay with what's going on? You can probably hear in my laugh that I enjoyed that last little bit. Don't really know why. Okay, hands can come down. And then from here, both toes come back. Spin in slightly on the legs. Okay, if you get any sort of muscle tension or crampiness, just, you can release. None of this is you're not being led by a dictator, okay? I'm guiding, so what feels good, more of, what feels lousy, take a break. But notice the reaction. And before we move on, take one mindful breath. What are things like right now? Just reset it. Spin your torso towards your left foot. Notice the resistance that likely comes down the right. That's okay. And take both hands to your left thigh. Okay. And then from here, we're going to lift our left arm up overhead. Okay? And then, using the right hand for support, you need to come down and over. Release out of that. And then we're going to return, again, your option. Arms up, arms down, arms wherever, and we're balancing. It doesn't matter. Can you come back into the original shape? Square the hips. And let it all go. All right. How are we doing time-wise here? I must admit, I didn't see you, but I can't really see the time. We're good. The dog, not enjoying this. Not happy with being left out. Okay. I'm going to suggest, as a way of, we're going to, just a couple of little mobilizers to kind of even the hips out. We're going to end with a twist on each side, and then I'm going to give you the option here of legs up. I'm sorry about the dogs. I have not control of that situation upstairs. My initial, what's welling up within me, everything about this on a physical level is screaming, stop it. But can I be okay with it? Can you be okay with it? Okay. So, you could be seated here and just drop the legs to one side. And then to the other. the sigh of my partner as she came down the stairs tells me that she's not feeling the same sense of okayness with the dogs.
Neither is your mother.
Neither is my mother. All right. But that's okay. Just a little side to side.
Pissed. Chloe.
I think in fairness that you can hear that Chloe's being spoken to. She's a 13-and-a-half-year-old dog, and as the grand dame of this house, the matriarch, just allowing your legs to spin out here. She was watching We All Were Best in Show last night, and it was another year of disappointment at not being recognized, so she's taking it out on everyone today. Okay. That was the humor I was referring to earlier. Okay. So from here, what was that? That's nice. All right. Very good. Allow yourself now here. I want to be clear. I'm going to roll down hands free just cuz that's what feels nice. But this move takes a certain amount of strength through your belly and integrity. So hands here, allowing as an assist, totally legit. In fact, change of plans. I'm going to accomplish this with the hands, and I'm just going to slide them out as I come down. So super slow. Tuck your tail. Shoulders drop. Down, down, down. Ha. And then straighten your left leg out and inhale and bring your right foot up. Hands might come across the top of the knee. How's your breath? How's your experience changed if your eyes are open with the change in perspective? Okay. And then stretch, release that knee, stretch the right leg out. Inhale, bring the left up. Exhale, hug it in. And release and allow it to come out. And then both feet come flat onto the mat. Okay? Both arms come out to either side. You can just kind of patty cake your hands beside the mat. And then inhale, bring your feet up together as one unit. Okay, like you're putting them onto a chair. And then exhale, drop them to one side. Does not matter. I've chosen left. Try to keep that right shoulder down. Okay, you might bring your left hand onto the outer right leg. You can even spin your arm. Take your thumb back, again, just to open the shoulder up. And we're here in a twist. And breathing. And if you want to shift and adjust, like if there's a different version of this, I'm not going to even cue it, but I'm going to drop into a different one myself. Just noticing. Am I okay with what's happening? Am I okay with what's not happening? Let's release our leg. Let's bring both, turning our hips back. Both feet come back onto the mat. Both hands return out to the sides. Drop your legs in the opposite direction. Maybe bringing your hand to your outer leg. Maybe, and I would encourage you to spin your, if you're working with your left hand now out extended, out to the side, and breathe. And again, option, this time I will cue it. I'm gonna take my right leg out long. I'm gonna drop over my hip and point my left toes out to the side. And then return, come options here, Shavasana, or, and depending on your situation, and I think here, like Deb, you have a couch there behind you. Depending, I'll address everyone more generally. If you have a couch, okay, this would be where you can come into a modified version of legs up the wall. So you just put your legs onto an actual chair or an actual couch, and then the arms can come to the side. Okay, not floating here like I am. This would not be super restful. Okay, or if you have a wall at your disposal, the play is to just kind of snug the hips up toward the wall, lay back, spin the hips up, place the feet on the wall, and if neither of those versions feel right, corpse pose, totally legit. Noticing on an energetic level the changes from just shy of an hour ago. In terms of the contours of your breath. And I said changes. It may be stability. It may be nothing's changed in your experience. It may be that nothing's changed in your breath. But just noticing. And not resisting it. Not fighting it. Or trying to change it into something else. Like truly just being an anthropologist of your own experience. Oh, okay. I get it. I almost said with each okay we inhale. That works. With each exhale, equally okay. Finding balance. Now, if you're practicing solo or you were watching this video after the fact with the recording of it, you could stay here for 5-10 minutes, whatever feels right. But it feels like if we scrubbed our heels down, and then you can use some hand action here for support, just come down to the side, legs drop down. You'll want to shift your position a little bit, just to bring your arm under your head, other hand supporting you. And when you're ready, shift up. And come to sit, however that feels right. And making any other movements, you can see I've come into kind of a little hip extension pattern just by way of getting there. After all that hip flexion, feels kind of nice. Now, I actually emailed, I think, this particular little nugget, this gem I sent your way, Deb, but I didn't share it with the group last week. It's an idea. It could be, it could be a mantra, really, or it could be something that you sit with in meditation, just at like just this one thing. So I'm just going to drop this in here at the end, kind of the cherry on the sundae of Okayness, if you will. The idea that in dealing with others, with situations, that we relinquish our sense of having any control. I can care about you, but I can't make your decisions for you. I can want you to be happy, but your life is not, nor should it be, under my control or choices that I make on your behalf. And I'm paraphrasing there, but you can turn the intention inward as well. Ultimately, so much of our experience, so much, we didn't ask for it. It's shifting, it's changing, or it's not. It's sticking around when we wish it would change. And can we just be okay with it? And just observe what's happening? There you go. Thank you. Thank you for putting up with my saucy dogs. Holy smokes. Namaste. Do you feel better? Nice. Right. You're right. And I'm glad that one landed. That you remember me saying about the guy in the park mentioning that. I think that's absolutely true. It's funny actually that you would mention that. Again, it was just because I'm out in the woods and I'm worried about, there was some sort of animal. I think there's a jackrabbit or something in there, and I was worried about my dog running in there and either hurting himself or hurting the animal. So I got kind of cross with him yesterday. Got really, I gave him shit. And afterward, there was kind of this dawning on me. I was later in the day when I was just like absolutely loving him up, like, kissing his belly and all the pets and, all that stuff, that the sweetness of being connected to a creature like that. Henny, come here, bud. You gonna come here? Come here. Yeah, see, he's not gonna come here right now. He's like, no, I'll walk right through your class multiple times, but now that you want me to come over, I'm just gonna sit here and lick my chops and look at you. That's okay. My point was that, I was having this total moment of connection, sweetness with him, and I had a flash where I was back in that moment, even though I was trying to protect him. And I thought, how many times is this, whether it's a child or a grandchild or, anyone who we care about, where, the intention might be good, but we're sharper than we need to be. And I, not at a cost to his safety, but I thought, was there a way for me to pull him in rather than, the kind of scolding and berating? And again, trying to do it here, trying to do it with him, trying to do it all over the place. So that's a practice, friends. Thanks for coming out. Right on.